YouTube, this is bqueenbandit, and this is also an update for my live journal friends on my totally awesome trip to Los Angeles. Let's see, Thursday we left, me and my fiance, we left West Virginia for Columbus to take an airplane, had a layover in Chicago, and then went to LA. Now, this was my very first airplane ride, and I'm going to admit I was scared shitless when I got on the plane. I mean, you might call me a redneck or whatever, but I'd never been on an airplane, and I was actually about ready to hurl when it took off. But once I got on the plane, I really liked it. I mean, I felt a lot more comfortable on the plane than I did in cars sometimes. The only iffy part was, you know, the landing, because I got kind of airsick. But at any rate, we touched down in Los Angeles, and we went to our hostel. I'd never been to a hostel either, and that was really cool, because there were all these people from the different countries, and we got to hear, like, I don't know, I mean, it was just kind of fun hearing accents when we went to get our free pancakes for breakfast. Friday, we just spent a lot of time walking right up and down Hollywood Boulevard, because that was close to where we were staying. We went to Grauman Shunny's Theater, and we went down the ways and went shopping a little bit. I was amazed at all the shoe stores they had, so I bought this awesome pair of really chunky neon pink Mary Janes. And then I realized, once I got out of the store and looked at the bag, that it was a store for strippers. Didn't realize that at the time, but it was still pretty cool, not gonna lie. So that night, we saw John Bryan in concert at Largo, and that was really awesome. The atmosphere was totally out of a Francesca Lia Block book. It was like, there was this big red curtain, and incense, and, you know, hip-hop playing with, like, little statues of, like, knights with turntables on their heads, and John Bryan was awesome. I didn't know it at the time, but one of the guys that came out on stage was the lead singer of Harvey Danger, which is, you know, one of my favorite bands from back in the day, and it was just, like, spectacular, because he can play any cover song ever. I mean, seriously, you yell out any song and John Bryan can play it. And one of the songs, they yelled out, Tom Waits, and he did this goofy Tom Waits impression, but then the guy from Harvey Danger said, "I'm gonna sing the best Carole King song ever," and he sang the Monkey's Porpoise song, and oh my god, that was the best thing ever. But before then, I forgot about this. Yeah, and this is cool because I finally got to meet my live journal friend Rad Jose, aka Brian, and he's a really cool guy. We ate a Jack in the Box, which they don't have those in West Virginia, or I don't know if they have them on the East Coast, to be honest with you, but they have these really awesome, like, deep-fried tacos, and it sounds like it'd give you a lot of heartburn, but really, I mean, where else can you have chicken teriyaki, curly fries, and tacos for a meal? Then we went to Amoeba, which, for my West Virginia homies out there, Amoeba is about the size of the Milton Flea Market before it burnt to the ground, and it has music and movies and DVDs and records, like, for, like, 2 stories. I just spent a lot of time browsing there, and me and Rad Jose were trading concert stories. It's pretty cool. But, yeah, so we bought, David and I bought a bunch of $1 CDs from, like, things we used to listen to in middle school, like the Austin Powers soundtrack, so that was pretty cool. Then we saw a movie in the ArcLight Theater. We saw Monsters vs. Aliens in 3D, which I liked a whole lot. I don't know that David liked it that much, but it was funny. It's something I'm gonna buy when it comes out. But yeah, so we did that, saw John Bryan in concert, and then I ate Pinkberry before then, and it was the best thing ever, and it makes me cry that they don't have one in West Virginia. It's a frozen yogurt place, but it actually tastes like yogurt, and you get fruit toppings, and I'm probably sounding like a real Valley girl at this point, but oh my god, it's so good. And then Saturday, we went to the beach. We took a shuttle with some of the people from the hostel. We ended up, most of the people ended up going to Santa Monica, but we went to Venice Beach with a lady from New Zealand, and she was pretty cool. We kind of talked about our different cultures, which I didn't. All I knew about New Zealand was what I learned from Flight of the Conchords, to be honest. So, you know, I learned from her that it snows sometimes in New Zealand, but where she lives is pretty much the same weather as California. And I explained to her America's obsession with wee little dogs and taking them everywhere you go, because apparently taking dogs in stores not so kosher in New Zealand. But yeah, so we went to Venice Beach, and we went to all the little shops up through there, and that was pretty cool. And we went to Santa Monica, and we rode a roller coaster there, and so we took the bus from Santa Monica back to the hostel, and we were going to go see a showing of Upright Citizens Brigade ASCAT, but it was sold out, so we hung out with my friend Brandon, who I used to work with at the college radio station down here, and he'd moved up to Los Angeles, and that was really cool because we got to see an insider's point of view. We went to IKEA, which they don't have one of those here, and that was cool because they had, I liked the furniture, but they had a little restaurant with Swedish meatballs, tiny Swedish meatballs, and then we went to In-N-Out Burger, which I know a lot of you West Coast people really, really like to the point of religious fervor, but gotta say I like Jack in the Box better. Sorry guys. And yeah, so we went to In-N-Out, then we drove around, then we went to a showing of The Room. Now The Room is this god-awful cult movie that this questionably foreign guy made. Nobody knows where he's from, and it's pretty bad. It's got lines like he suddenly just says into there, "Lisa, you're tearing me apart!" And that's the entire movie. That and lots of softcore sex. But we saw a midnight showing of it, and fuck Rocky Horror, this is the best midnight showing ever. I didn't realize it at first, but the people standing in front of us in line were Justin Long of the Mac commercials and Drew Barrymore. Yeah, I just thought she was just some random LA hipster, but so whenever Tommy Wiseau, who is the guy who wrote, directed, and starred in it, came out, they were screaming, "Tommy, we love you," and it was so surreal because here were these real celebrities screaming for this crazy guy who lucked out. So he had a question and answer session, and that was pretty weird because I didn't understand a lot of what he said. If I remember correctly, if you want to be a future filmmaker, then you have to remember the formula 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, because that can help you if you're a filmmaker or a sex therapist or just a random guy writing. Yeah, but so, there were shout-out lines like Rocky Horror, and there's this picture of a spoon, and every time you see it, you throw a spoon at the screen, so it was pretty cool. And also, when we were getting concessions, I saw, Adam Goldberg, who I best know from the movie The Hebrew Hammer, and he seemed very sad that I recognized him. So Sunday was our last day in LA, and we went back to Grauman's, because we hadn't really seen, it crowded. We went there. I think it was 8:30 in the morning because we were still getting used to jet lag. We went there when it was a little later, and all of the impression people were out there, and that was pretty cool. There was this really god-awful Mickey Mouse who looked like a cross between Mickey Mouse and the Six Flags guy, and he was dancing to the Spanish polka, and then there was a 6-foot-tall Yoda that was speaking Japanese, and it was pretty fun. And we went to little stores around there, and it was pretty crazy. But that morning we went to the farmer's market before that, and that is the most amazing place I've ever seen. It's fresh produce as far as the eye can see. Any kind of, I bought a bag of pesto there to take on the plane, which was kind of a bitch to get through security. But it was delicious, and I eat it on all my Jimmy John's sandwiches every day now. And there's a little alcove of it where it's just local restaurants, and I had this huge tamale that was the size of my foot for $2, and it was so tasty, and I really miss stuff like that, because there's not a whole lot of variety of food in West Virginia. Granted, we have a lot of it since Huntington is the fattest city in America, but, there's not it's a lot of quantity and not a lot of quality. But, yeah, so we looked around, killed some time, and got back on the plane. Came back to Huntington, where it was cold as hell, and it's supposed to snow Tuesday, so that makes me pretty sad. Final verdict for the LA trip? For all you LJ and you YouTube people, that was my trip to LA, and I will hit you back pretty soon.